Hello everyone, if you're new, my name is Chris and today's video is about spicy fragrances. I love Oriental fragrances, I love spicy fragrances, and I think I picked out 13 fragrances to talk about today. So if you're interested in seeing the spicy fragrances I picked out today, feel free to keep watching. I'm going to start my list with a fragrance I've talked about many times before, but it is my favorite spicy floral, and that is Black Jade by Lubin. To me, this is French class and sophistication in a bottle. It's just beautiful. It has a lovely bright opening, and then there's florals. There's perfectly blended rose and jasmine. There's a little sweetness coming from some cinnamon, and then it's all swimming around in this lovely bed of amber. It sits close to the skin, which is what I like. I have this nice scent bubble. It's one of my favorite fragrances. That's why it makes several of my lists. So that's Black Jade. The next fragrance on my list is a sandalwood fragrance. And if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I love sandalwood. And this sandalwood fragrance is perfect for the cold weather because it's a spicy sandalwood. And that is Santal Musc by Narciso Rodriguez. This has Egyptian musk in it, and Egyptian musk has cardamom. So when you first spray this, what you get is a beautiful, spicy musk with cardamom. As it starts to dry down, the spices subside, then there's a little floral note. I believe it's ylang-ylang, and that makes it a little bit smooth, a little bit buttery. And then in the dry down, you get that beautiful, lovely sandalwood that I love. This is kind of my go-to cold weather sandalwood fragrance because the spices really make it perfect for the cold weather. So yeah, the next fragrance on the list is a fruity floral oriental, and it is by Tom Ford, and that is Plum Japonais, which is fairly new to my collection. So the inspiration behind this fragrance is that this is supposed to smell like a fir balsam box that is filled with ripe plums, incense, cinnamon stick, and saffron threads. And I think that they got it right on the nose. That's kind of what this smells like. This fragrance is all about the spicy plum. The plum is the star of the show. It does have some vanilla in it, which does give it some sweetness, but this is in no means overly sweet or cloying. This is a dry, spicy plum scent. Yes, it is recently discontinued, but bottles pop up here and there on secondhand sites. So if you see a bottle pop up, it's worth getting your nose on, or at least a decant. But yeah, I love this fragrance. The next fragrance on my list is a fragrance that hasn't made any of my videos, but I have posted it on Instagram and I've had it for several months. And it's a fragrance by Berdoues, and that is Maasai Mara. So Maasai Mara is a place in Kenya, and it borders the Serengeti, and it is basically a wildlife photographer's dream. And this fragrance pays tribute to that part of the world. This fragrance is a spicy, resinous amber fragrance. This has bitter orange, there are dried fruits, there is cinnamon, there's honey, there's vanilla, there's patchouli. Oh, it's just beautiful. It does have a tobacco-y vibe, it has kind of a hookah vibe, but oh, it's beautiful. It does sit a little close to the skin, which I like. It's not very strong, but it is gorgeous. And to me, it fits the colder weather a little bit more, but because it's so light, I think it would do perfectly fine in the warmer weather. So that is, yes, that is Maasai Mara, a beauty by Berdoues. The next fragrance on my list is a vanilla fragrance, and this vanilla fragrance is by Sylvaine Delacourte, and that is Vangelis. I discovered this scent from doing the Discovery set, which I highly recommend. I enjoyed several, but this is the full bottle that I got for the time being because it's the spicy vanilla, and this vanilla is supposed to smell like a vanilla chai or a chai latte, and it does. I can see this fragrance not being universally loved by people who enjoy the note of vanilla because it is a different type of vanilla fragrance. Now, Sylvaine Delacourte is very picky with her ingredients, and she only uses, you know, the best materials. She uses Madagascar vanilla. So when this first opens, I definitely get a citrusy note. I think it's clementine. And then you're kind of hit with spices. There is definitely cardamom in this. My favorite part of the fragrance is when it dries down. That's when it smells the best to me. That's when the vanilla comes out. The spices dry down and the vanilla really pulls on my skin. It's actually quite lovely. I really enjoy it. Again, it's not for everyone, but it's for people who really like spicy fragrances and vanilla fragrances that aren't overtly sweet. So yeah, that's Vangelis by Sylvaine Delacourte. The next fragrance on my list is a fragrance that was actually recommended to me by a subscriber. This particular person had seen several of my videos and thought that this next fragrance might be right up my alley, and boy, were they right. And that is a fragrance by the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and that is Caftan. So this fragrance is, you know, everything I love about perfumes. This is a sweet, warm, resinous fragrance. This has incense. This is smoky, but it's a sweet smokiness. There's spices, there's pink pepper. And then as this dries down, it becomes this just beautiful amber fragrance. It sits close to the skin, which I like, which means I can wear it in basically any situation. This is my birthday gift to myself. This was a recent purchase. I absolutely love it, and I am so grateful that this was recommended to me because it's just lovely. And that is Caftan by YSL. The next fragrance on my list is a fragrance I've talked about at least a couple times, and it was in my very first video, and that is a fragrance by the house of Diptyque, and that is 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain. This is a real special fragrance. Even though it doesn't look like I've used a whole lot, I've had it for several years. I am a serial undersprayer, and I do kind of baby this fragrance. This one was created as a tribute to the 50th anniversary of Diptyque. This fragrance is supposed to smell like the shop on 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain. To me, this smells like a modern upscale Parisian barbershop. It has, it has lots of lovely notes. It has black currant, pink pepper, cloves, cinnamon, iris, and some woods. I tend to wear this in the cold weather, and when I wear this, people will say, "You smell so good. You smell nice and spicy." So yeah, it's just a beautiful scent that has spices in it that I love and I've enjoyed for several years. So 34 Boulevard Saint-Germain. You can't make a video about spicy fragrances and not include the OG of spicy fragrances, and that is by the house of Kenzo, and that is Jungle. This is a spice bomb. This has cardamom, this has cloves. There's a sweetness from some sort of fruit. I don't know if it's mango or pear, but it certainly has a nice fruity sweetness. I think this is very well composed. It's a classy fragrance, even though it's strong. It is so strong that 2 sprays will last you all day and into the next day. It's easy to get, and it's very inexpensive. So if you like your spicy fragrances, this is a great one to check out as long as you like strong spicy fragrances, and that is by Kenzo. The next fragrance on my list is a fragrance I got because I'm always on the lookout for the perfect chai fragrance. I'm a big tea drinker. I love my chai. And this next one is by the house of INeKE, and that is Jaipur chai. So this definitely is a chai tea fragrance. This is a black tea with chai spices. So there's very strong cinnamon. There's cardamom, there's cloves, there's some pepper. There's supposed to be a note of steamed milk. Maybe it's watered down steamed milk or the froth on top of HIT. As it dries down, I do get some honey, and it's very woody. It's a very sweet, woody fragrance. The dry down is definitely a sweet, vanillic, woody fragrance. This is a tricky fragrance because you don't think it's going to be strong, but this fragrance actually goes through my clothes and lasts into the next day. It'll last several days on clothes. So you don't need a whole lot of it, as you can tell. And it's a great one. I enjoy it. So that's Jaipur Chai by INeKE. The next fragrance on my list is a fragrance that I recently talked about, and it is a fragrance that I have been wanting to get for several years. And because it's hard to find, I had to live on samples all of 2020 and part of 2019, and only recently was able to procure a bottle. And that is up by the House of Xerjoff, and that is Ivory Root. Yes, I've talked about this recently, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. But just a beautiful, it just has these beautiful peppery spices in the beginning. There's some sort of sweet aromatic note, mentholy note that I get that is just actually keeps me going back to smell it. It's a very intoxicating scent. Yeah, the dry down is just absolutely beautiful. There's a sweetness to it. There's this beautiful sweet vanilla that just balances out the spices and just makes it such a beautiful, unique fragrance. If I found another bottle, I would buy a backup. I love it that much, and I'm not really a backup bottle type of a person. I can think of only a few fragrances that I've ever done that for, and this would be one of them. So yeah, a special, beautiful, spicy vanilla woody fragrance by Xerjoff, and that is Ivory Root. The next fragrance I've talked about in several videos, but it is a fragrance that is just one of my all-time favorites and certainly epitomizes the type of fragrances that I love, and was the fragrance that really kind of sent me down the niche rabbit hole several years ago, and that is by Andy Tower, and that is L'air du désert Marocain. As you can tell, it's almost empty. I just recently bought a second bottle because I never want to be without this. This is beautiful, dry spices in the middle of the Moroccan desert at night. It's very incensey, and it has a beautiful, beautiful amber note. One of the most beautiful fragrances in my collection. Certainly a masterpiece, in my opinion. I cannot imagine me not having this. And if anyone went around and smelled my perfumes, they would stop at this and say this smelled most like me. I just adore it. So yeah, this is a great one, and you'll see this on many lists to come because I love it. Yeah, so that's L'air du désert Marocain by Andy Tower. The second to last fragrance on my list is another vanilla fragrance, and this is a incredibly spicy vanilla fragrance, and that is a fragrance that gets talked about a lot, and that is Lune Feline. Yes, this is the smokiest vanilla in my collection, and when I first spray it, it's almost too spicy. It's almost too smoky. It goes right up to the edge of being too much for me. It has a very dominant note of cardamom. You get that right in the beginning. In fact, when I was wearing it one day, someone came up to me and said, "Boy, it smells like a house fire around here." Yeah. It does get a little bit better in the dry down. It gets a little bit more woody. It's a touch medicinal, which probably comes from the resins. I mean, this is the prettiest bottle I own. These little gold flakes are just gorgeous. And when you spray it on yourself, you know, it gets on your clothes. It's actually kind of pretty if you get it on your skin. Yeah, this is just a gorgeous, smoky, spicy vanilla that I love. Okay, the last fragrance on my list is a fragrance by the House of Fragrance du Bois, and that is New York Intense. And this is fairly new to my collection, and I'm still getting to know it. I got this because when I got my bottle of Santal Complete, I made the mistake of purchasing the Discovery set at the same time, which, yeah, I fell in love with several other fragrances in this set. So I ended up getting this because when I sprayed the sample, my spouse absolutely loved this one as well. In fact, grabbed the sample, put it in his pocket, and ran down the hall. So a little less guilt when it came to this purchase because this will be a shared fragrance between me and Patrick. But it's just, oh, it's a beautiful scent. It's very strong. You have to be very light on the trigger. Yeah, it's a very beautiful, woody, aromatic, spicy scent. There is cinnamon in here. There's cloves. There is blackberry, honey. There's definitely oud. Oud is one of the notes that worries me. I can't do all ouds. I can't do barnyard ouds or ouds that smell like, you know, stuff we don't talk about. But this is a really smooth, beautiful oud, and you can smell this throughout the life of the fragrance, but it's just the smoothest, most beautiful oud that I have. There's definitely patchouli. It's very herbal. I think there's a bay leaf in here. Yeah, but this is a beautiful, spicy, aromatic, gorgeous fragrance that is definitely unisex. In fact, some people might think it leans more masculine. I like all fragrances, so I don't really put them in any category. I just put them in the category, do I like them or not? But yeah, a new addition to my collection and a gorgeous one at that. So that does it for some of my favorite spicy fragrances in my collection. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.